All I ever wanted. All I ever needed. Are you going to start your Etsy shop?
So in order to do something like that, I would have to get a Cricut. Do you know what that is?
No.
I kind of don't know what it is either, but it's like some sort of like die cutting device.
All right. What does a Cricut cost?
I'm not sure, but it's kind of pricey.
Cricut die.
Oh, my mom is. My mom's in the bed. And she's hearing me talk.
Did it scare her?
No, but she hears me talking about Cricut and she's saying, it is expensive.
Nah, it's $329 or $179.
That's a lot.
It's $179.
$350?
$179. Cricut Joy.
Mom, you're either a part of this or you're not. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I can't help myself. Can you hear her?
I can hear her. I just avoid your mom now because I know that she hates me.
Do you hate Greg? Yes. Oh, she said yes.
I know. Did you tell her that her Christmas card is still in my mailbox because I refuse to take it out because
I like him better than you. Oh, she said that she likes you better than me.
Well, that's easy.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But that Christmas card that she sent, I left it in the mailbox because I felt as though she had no idea what was going on. She sent a Christmas card thinking, this is nice. I'll send a Christmas card to that guy.
Yeah, she knew what was going on.
To that guy Autumn likes. And it just sits in there.
He still has your Christmas card in his mailbox. Really? Yeah, because he can't bring himself to open it and bring it upstairs.
All right, I'll go get it. I'll get the Christmas card.
Is that Ellie? Yeah. What is she doing? I think she's meowing. All right, let's stop talking. Okay. All right, because then it'll stop her from talking. Okay.
She's meowing?
Yeah. So she got a cat from a garage sale today, and then my mom brought her this other cat that has really long legs.
So does she want a real cat yet?
She has 2 real cats.
I know, but not at your place.
No. But she doesn't want to scoop the litter.
Those aren't new cats. Those cats were around before she was born.
True.
Oh my God. You hear this car alarm going off?
Mm-mm.
Maybe it's not picking up on the mic. I don't know.
I don't hear it.
I don't understand the point of a car alarm. If that car is being robbed.
Either. At this point.
If that car is being robbed, broken into, nobody's doing anything about it.
No.
The person.
It's background noise, if anything.
The person breaking into it probably is still just going to continue to break into it. It's still going.
I don't hear it at all.
All right.
Hold on. Hold on.
Let me turn up my mic and my gain. Here we go.
Okay. Oh.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
I don't feel like we can record until this thing stops. Anyway, your Etsy store. You should start your Etsy store.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Maybe.
What are you doing in your spare time? You like drawing. You like creating things.
I do.
So make some of these Autumn's originals.
Nah, I feel like you helped me create those.
What? Well, the thing that you're talking about, mocking the live, laugh, love.
Mm-hmm.
Those signs, whatever. I don't want any of the money. If you get rich, I want a commission, but
okay.
You have to make.
I mean, if I get super rich from something like that, I would throw you something, throw you a bone.
After you make $100,000 off of them, then my cut kicks in, and I would
$10K.
No, then I want commission off of everything sold, 15% at that point.
Oh, all right. Well, this is it.
Off of each piece sold, 15% goes to me.
15.
What's your Etsy store called?
Auto Prints.
Yeah, it's got to have a catchy name though.
Auto Prints.
Okay. I mean, nobody will understand the play on that, but that'll still work. I think it's good.
No, because if you don't know the context of my username being Auto Prints, you'll think it's like auto, like automatic, and then Prints. Prints.
True.
So if you do know it, though, then you'll be like, whoa, I'm in on something.
All right.
I know something more than someone else.
Well, soon you'll have an Etsy. You have a platform to advertise your Etsy store. So you should create the Etsy
you're right.
store.
You're absolutely right.
And then sell your creations. And other people will also search on Etsy and come across them. And I do think the one thing will sell. I'm not going to give it away because I know we have some sharks out there who will steal.
You're talking about the stuff that we come up with, the sayings?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, it finally turned off. Finally.
Yeah. Finally, the car that wasn't being broken into, but just for some reason the alarm was triggered, the owner of that vehicle has now come out. It's not like, oh, thank you, I've caught my vehicle being broken into. Thanks, car alarm. That didn't happen.
Yes, I'm sure all the change that was being grabbed by the handful was safe. Was saved and it's now
it's
safe.
not like people aren't breaking into cars to like steal their stereos like they used to. You remember when your stereo used to like disconnect, or your radio or whatever?
Yeah, you take the face off of it, then there would be a blinking red light to deter people.
That's not how things work.
I had an awesome setup in my 1995 Nissan pickup.
What was your setup?
Bench seat. I had some.
I remember that truck.
I had some. No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Not the Nissan. You didn't know me with the Nissan.
Oh, I didn't? What was you had a little truck though, didn't you?
I had a Toyota pickup.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you knew me with the Nissan, but I think it was already dead.
Maybe it was just the Toyota.
I think the Nissan was dead by then. I had some surround sound speaker cubes. They were small cubes, maybe 6 inches in width and height.
Mm-hmm.
And I wired them to the Best Buy bought CD player with detachable face.
Yeah.
And so I had the speakers that were already built into the car, but I bought different speakers for that too, into the truck. And then I wired these and put them behind the bench. Friday Night 80s on Star 94 never sounded so good.
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ. Another installment of One Topic, which I was thinking about the trajectory. Is that trajectory?
Trajectory.
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 Why is that a difficult word to pronounce?
I wasn't thinking it was difficult until you had difficulty with it, and then I had trouble.
I may have
Trajectory.
said it.
Trajectory.
I may have said it correctly the first time. I stumbled on it, but I don't. But anyway, the trajectory. See, I couldn't do it there.
Oof, weird again.
Trajectory. No, that time that one.
Pterodactyl.
No, that one was mocking me getting it wrong. That one was it was overdone. Trajectory. But when I want to say it in a sentence, I was thinking about the trajectory. There we go. That's right, of the show.
Just press the gas and go, and you'll get it.
One topic. What have the topics actually been over the? What has the show become? The show should be called Autumn's Therapy. Actually, both are therapy, not just yours.
Yeah.
I certainly used it for therapy.
Yeah, it really has been a little bit of my therapy for a while.
Therapy sessions. Look, we're getting back into normal topics, but I have to say that the most downloaded and listened to shows are the ones that we're making fun of right now.
I mean, what we should have done is recorded the last hour of us chatting, not recording.
Yeah, I guess we could have done that, but we didn't. So now we're just going to talk about selfishness and entitlement because people were.
I wonder what we talked about before the mics were hot.
Because people were talking about, because people were buying too much gasoline. This is where this came from. Autumn said people have been buying a lot of gas and they shouldn't.
Yeah. The hoarding of the gas. I feel like I don't care. I don't care about the logistics of what happened, but what I do care about, or what I'm interested in, is the instinct to be, I guess, to like protect yourself or to protect what you feel like you need to protect. And that's what people are doing. I mean, people aren't like, I'm going to get it so that no one else can get it. They're thinking about trying to ensure their own safety. And I feel like that's a survival. That's like a, an inherent sort of.
You've just jumped right into it.
Yeah. Aren't we jumping into it?
You just jumped right into it.
Yeah. I feel like it's this inherent sort of a survival mechanism, lizard brain activity. And I think we're afraid to talk about that or to think about it or to point it out. Because people that do the act that we're talking about are looked at as like selfish or whatever.
They are. They're pieces of shit. Anyone who does this was the whole thing that came out of COVID in the toilet paper. The fact that there was no toilet.
It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, because people are hoarding things because they view it as life or death. Oh, the gas, oh, the precious gas. Please don't take more gas. And, in the moment, I don't know. I do know. I just don't want to get angry about it because I think the behavior is inherently disgusting. There is a survival. I can understand a survival mechanism that kicks in, but we're not anywhere near it. Gasoline and toilet paper don't even come close to, oh my God, my life is going to end and bad things are going to happen to people I love if I don't get these things. So why can't you just calm the fuck down and do what you're supposed to do and let the thing pass? That's why I don't give any kind of pass to these people.
Well, let me just play devil's advocate and say, what if, because
this all came, that's just, and I know people probably know what we're talking about, but the idea for the topic came out of the pipeline that was hacked and the gas supply.
Oil was hacked.
The gas supply was compromised and there was a possible shortage and some gas stations did run out of gasoline and people were asked to please not take too much. And then you've got videos of people filling up various containers then going crazy and taking as much as they can in Tupperware and mixing bowls in plastic bags. It shows the idiocy of humanity too. There was a video I saw, and I don't know if it was actually tied to this. I don't think it was, but people played it off as it was. But there was a woman who had like plastic grocery bags.
So that was one woman.
I think that was from a few years ago, actually, if I remember correctly. But
okay.
But just filling up these bags, which gasoline, by the way,
wouldn't it eat through the plastic?
It eats through many things.
Yeah.
There was I came across a guy who had styrofoam. Do you know what happens when you mix gasoline and styrofoam?
What?
You get napalm. It melts the styrofoam. It melts the styrofoam, becomes this gel.
Oh, wow.
And you can set that gel on fire if you like, and it'll burn for quite a while.
And then it like plaps onto things and sticks to you?
Yes.
Like a hot glue gun glue?
So that's the inspiration behind the show of entitlement and selfishness. And it goes to show that if something major did happen where society collapsed, TV shows, movies that present this as happening and things going to hell, sometimes I used to think, man, that's a little over the top. I don't think so anymore. I believe that within a matter of hours, you would have this kind of behavior. People losing their shit, out for themselves only, killing other people almost immediately, fights nonstop. They don't have any faith in humanity and holding things together. So play devil's advocate. Why is it okay for people to panic and think that, well, you know what? The rules don't apply to me. Maybe other people, but I'm going to do what I have to do and get the gasoline that I need to get.
Well, I don't want to conflate the two because I feel like if society were really to break down, I think that it would sort of fall into lots of different categories, like depending on who you are as a person, your personality type, your history, pathology, who knows? I mean, a lot of things could happen where you're more selfish and trying to only get whatever you can get so that you can ensure your own survival in a sort of like what might be seen as like selfish, like gains ways or whatever. And then other things like where maybe people would be looking out for someone else and being more altruistic in their sort of survival game. I feel like that's a different scenario than this gas thing. What I think, the way that I can play devil's advocate with the gas situation is that we really don't have a lot of situations where we're in a position of like, this is what I can do to protect my family. You know, there's a lot of these like weird soft ways that we all protect our families, which is like going out and having a job, making money that you never really put your hands on. And even if you do, it's not really backed by anything. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like soft ways that we feel like, you know, we go to the grocery store, we bring home food for our family. That was all taken care of by someone else. We're not actually doing anything. And so when something like this comes up with the toilet paper, which is so stupid, and then with the gasoline thing, which is also stupid in a little bit more of a crucial way than toilet paper, but it seems like because we don't really have a way, a tangible, realistic way of protecting our things and our own family, that we go out and we say like, this is the thing. I'm going to make sure that we're okay. And I'm going to get all the toilet paper. I'm going to get all the gas.
No, I don't buy that for a second. I think it's a sense of entitlement. No, I think that people think that they are above it, that they're special, that they're different. And there's this idea that they are more important than other people. So therefore, when a situation does arise where they can act on it, they just do. Because, again...
Because they're them and they deserve it?
Yes, it's like sitting in traffic. I was sitting in traffic once on Georgia 400. Mm-hmm. Some people just thought...
Famous for its traffic.
People thought, I don't need to sit in the traffic. Driving along the shoulder because they're above sitting in traffic. For whatever reason. But there is a sense of entitlement that I think is growing more as this society progresses. And I don't know where it comes from. I think there are many factors. There's this idea of, I'm not opposed to being an individual. I think it's very important to have your identity and understand who you are and do things that set you apart. I also think that if you're going to live in a civilized society, that it shouldn't be straight up me against everyone else, that you need to work with each other and do your best to make sure that everyone is taken care of to an extent. You do have a duty, I feel. But I'm not one of these people that thinks that being an individual and wanting to find a way to set you apart is a bad thing. But I think and I don't necessarily get political on the show, and we're not going to get too political, but as it becomes a little more polar, as it becomes extremely polarized, and the two sides, one side, the liberal side, quite often is the collective. Any idea of being an individual is an awful thing. How dare you, you selfish piece of shit. And then the other side is, I'm going to rebel against this. It's about me. It's about my rights. This country is about freedom and me, and I can do what I want to do and go out and chase the things that I want to do and be and see and get and own. And it's somewhere in the middle. There's a balance of these two ideas that I believe in. But as the individual side grows, there's an entitlement to the person. And I'm not saying the people who are getting gas are Republican. I'm just saying that the entitlement grows on both sides out of different means and different ways. And there's the collective entitlement. But on both sides, as things are polarized, the entitlement is insane. People feeling as though they're more deserving of things than other people. It blows my mind. There's this idea, and this really angers me because I don't know where it comes from. Maybe because I complain or I seem like I'm negative. I seem like I'm negative. I know that I am. But it's not just negativity. I feel as though I'm negative. I'm not even, I look at things as they actually are, and they're crap. And presenting them and explaining it as it actually is for some reason is labeled as negative. But within that...
I hear you.
Within that, people who don't know me but listen to some of the stuff, there's been beliefs that I am entitled. I don't think for a second that anyone owes me a fucking thing. I've never lived my life that way. I don't go around saying, oh, woe is me, things aren't fair. I should have gotten that. I didn't get that. And it really angers me. The world is what it is. I complain about it. I want it to be different, but it's not, and I accept it for what it is. And that's why I am somewhat down on it. I'm like, okay. But I navigate the world as it is. And I understand that the things I don't have are mostly because I didn't even try to get them. I never went out. Sure, sometimes I did try. Let's say radio, for example. When I was doing radio in Atlanta, I was taken off the air. Even then, I was angry. I was bitter, taken off the air for being too creative. I had good ratings. I was pissed. But I never felt entitled. There wasn't, even at that point, I didn't think, that's mine.
Do people who are entitled, who act and feel entitled, do they realize that they're entitled?
I can't say. I don't know. I can't get inside of the brain of someone who thinks that they're above it. And
because if you have the foresight or something to understand that you are entitled to something, wouldn't you then think, wait, why am I entitled to this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a valid, logical question to ask. I think that there are people who, in this situation with the gasoline, probably complained about other people. They took a bunch of extra gasoline and then complained about people taking gasoline.
Oh, like people, yeah, they're waiting in line. Like, look at all these assholes waiting in line for gas, but where they're also an asshole waiting in line for gas.
Yeah, the rules apply to everyone else, but not me. Mm-hmm. Not me.
Listen, I'm sure that that's part of it, but I also feel like there are people out there who think they're actually doing good for it, like they're protecting their own. And they're doing something to put food on their family. like to do
you
something.
Know what? Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're not protecting your own, though. What protects your own in a situation that's temporary is just keeping things status quo and keeping.
I agree with you.
Keeping
but
the
I'm
peace.
Saying that
The moment.
This is an active thing that they can do to make them feel like they're participating in the protection of their own. Because I agree with you. The real thing to do is to just chill, relax. It's gonna be fine. This isn't like a bomb shelter situation. Did you ever see that bomb shelter episode of Twilight Zone?
No.
It was with Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Wait, Willy Wonka. Yes. And he was in a bomb shelter with his family, and there were his neighbors that were knocking on the door, and they wanted to come in, and it was like he couldn't decide whether to let them in or not because he only had enough food for a certain amount of time and enough supplies for this amount of people, and yeah, it turned into this moral dilemma. And that's what I thought about, when I think about it a lot. Actually, but I thought about it with the gas thing. I thought about it with the toilet paper thing. People are taking from others. They're taking more for themselves, which they feel is protecting the ones that they love the most, but actually taking away from others so that they can't provide.
Because they think they're better. They genuinely think they're better or more important than other people. Mm-hmm. Where it comes from, again, I think it's from many things. Another thing that I didn't bring up is, and I know this isn't anything original, this thought, and I hesitate to throw it out there, but I do think social media also plays into it, where you present yourself and it's all about you. The funny thing is, when people say that they believe in the collective, quite often they're just doing things within the collective to show how great of a person they are themselves. And that really annoys me. Because
that doesn't have anything to do with the collective. It has to do with themselves.
Yes, and just look how much better I am. Look at me. I'm one of the good people. But there is, for whatever reason, a real movement where I think more and more people think that they're better than other people. And then with that comes double standards. And that's where, I can get the extra gasoline. I can drive in the shoulder. I can buy all the toilet paper. Other people shouldn't, but I will. For whatever reason, their lives, their being is more important than others. So, I think in any day situations, you don't think of other people. You're setting a date with a person. I'll meet you at 7 o'clock, and then you cancel at 6:45, and no big deal unless something really came up. But
Sure.
there's a lack of thoughtfulness. I don't know where it comes from. I tried to do some research before this show. There's ideas of where it comes from.
I mean, do you think it's just a personality type? Not to say, I'm not talking about the outliers of people who are like, cutthroat and do whatever they can to get ahead, and whether that's on a micro scale or a macro scale. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about like regular people. I mean, even like, honestly, Travis was talking to me on Wednesday saying like, you better go get gas. You better go top off, like go get some gas because like it's and I was like, I'm fine. I don't care. I mean, I think that I have over a half a tank, but even if I had half a tank, I still wouldn't top off because it's like, I'll wait until we're all like things have calmed down. I'm lucky. I don't have a commute.
Yeah, that sounds a bit.
If I had a commute, maybe that'd be. But I wouldn't go and like try and find gas tanks to fill up so that I would have extra. Do you know what I mean? I would just like fill it up and see what happens next. I wouldn't.
I think that's fair. If there's something, you have a half a tank and you want to go top off your tank when this problem came about, then fine, so be it.
But my first instinct is to not even do that. Like, no, I'll wait.
Because it's not that big of a deal. You're able to gauge something for what it actually is.
But why aren't other people able to gauge something for what it actually is? I'm not any. Listen, I'm not like plugged into the workings of the world like a lot of other people are.
It's interesting that people they jump into panic. It's the same thing when a storm's coming through and the bread and the milk
and bread,
they're gone. People rush out. I don't know how much they hoard. Because how many times has a storm been so bad that you've been locked inside and you would have starved to death if you didn't have your bread and you didn't have your milk?
Milk and bread. Milk and bread.
And eggs, I guess, but it's usually milk and bread.
The phraseology is milk and bread. It is a strange thing. No one's like sitting around.
People don't learn. They don't think about what is actually presented to them.
Yeah.
That's
what you do. When the snow's coming, you go out and get milk and bread. The end.
You haven't learned anything from the past. The same thing keeps happening every time the snowstorm's coming. And when the pipeline was hacked, it was said, from what I remember pretty early on, we'll get this back up and running. I guess there was an idea maybe at first. Nobody knows how long it's going to last. But even in that case, you're not going to die. Maybe you have to walk. I know people live in suburbs for the most part, but their grocery store is within a few miles. God forbid you walk the little way. If it goes on for too long, then sure, production lines and shipping lanes, a lot of things will shut down. But also,
I mean, how long would that take though? Like 2 weeks?
We weren't there. And until you get there, the reaction to it, people like to panic. The toilet paper thing was based on nothing with COVID.
That toilet paper thing, I did not understand.
I don't know where it came from. There was an idea that COVID gave some people diarrhea, and I think it did. It
didn't come from like shipping something.
It was probably shipping too.
Inhibited.
Whatever it was. Yes, I think shipping was also going to be in a lot of things. And I understand.
Toilet paper. Don't people have other, like, what about the break in a food line or something? Wouldn't that be more concerning than a toilet paper? Like,
well, I think there's fear. Toilet paper
is way down the list of concerns when like the shit really hits the fan.
I think there's fear, and if you want to
there's a washcloth, and I'll wash it and I'll figure it out. Otherwise, I need to find food.
Well, if you want to play devil's advocate in this, I think there's a fear. With COVID, that's a big thing. We haven't been through a pandemic before in our lives, and not knowing what was to come, it's scary. With the fuel thing, not as scary to me. It also shows that our reliance on the fuel is I'm not an advocate for going all electric. I'm not pushing that agenda. I'm just saying it is a resource that will run out one day, and you should start preparing and making decisions. But the way people approach things, that's not my problem. That's later on down the line. The reliance on fuel, the lack of public options, it is a problem. This should go to show. Same way that healthcare being tied to full-time employment, healthcare
for sure
tied to full-time employment, which was lost during a pandemic, which is a healthcare crisis. You lose your job because of the healthcare crisis. You lose your healthcare. Stupid fucking system. But whatever. Anything changing? No. Anything going to change with this? No. But there's a fear that comes along with it, and I think people just want to enact some kind of control. Okay, what can I do? They go out, makes them feel better. It's comfort, but the complete lack of concern for other people, it bothers me personally, because you can take care of yourself and get the things you need, and other people can do the same. But the moment you go over the top with it, you're saying, I don't give a shit about other people. And I don't find that to be acceptable.
And what they might deem a survival situation, you don't care about other people. You're going to choose your family, people you know, over strangers. So people who, the strangers that need this gas, like, that's not my concern. I care about the people I know and my family. Maybe I would give my gas to some neighbors. I don't know. But for them, they feel like they're doing something like maybe almost something that should be exalted. Like, I took care of my family. I took care of the people in my community, or like my village, like my close knit, whatever.
You're really stuck on this idea.
I'm just curious. No, I'm just curious in exploring their mindset and why they would do it, because it's going to be the outlier who's going to be like, fuck everybody, I'm going to take it all so that nobody else can get it. I'm sure that that's out there, but that's not most of the people who were doing the hoarding.
I think it is.
Really?
They don't think rules apply to them for whatever reason.
But haven't you ever been stuck in traffic and thought, like, yeah, I'm going to go on this shoulder until I can, like... Yeah,
I've thought about it. There's plenty of times
I've driven in the HOV lane when I don't have I'm not HOV positive.
Okay. Well, there you go. You think that you're above the rule that was set forth. What was your thinking during that? Your time's more important than everyone else's.
My thinking was that if I got pulled over, this was my thinking, was that if I got pulled over, I would tell them I was confused, that I thought it was the like fast pass lane or whatever, and not like I didn't realize it switched to HOV.
Your go-to defense is ignorance. I didn't know.
I wasn't paying attention.
I mean, I've thought about that before too.
Yeah.
And when I talk about this, I can't say that I haven't had instances where I skirted rules or thought. I guess the idea behind it was I didn't think I was better. I just didn't care. It was, and especially when it comes to something like taxes, for example. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna. But who doesn't?
See, that's your metric, where other people have a different metric. They would never, skirt tax.
The government's not a person. When it comes to a corporation or the government, then the rules don't apply, because
they're not thinking of the other people, so they're inconsiderate. How about that?
It's funny when we talked about stealing, for example, in that show so long ago. I have these rules I put in place, my own rules. I'll steal from corporations, but I wouldn't steal from a mom and pop store. But the corporation, the store has a manager. There is a person attached to it. Yeah. And if there's a lot of theft and loss in that store, that person is going to pay the price. And for whatever reason, I never thought about that. And once I did think about that, I thought, okay, well, I shouldn't be stealing anymore. The government, whatever, they're stealing from me to begin with. The amount of taxes they take out and the services that we get doesn't match. It goes to pay stupid salaries of a lot of people, a lot of bloat. I'm fine with taxes if I see services. I'm not opposed to taxes, but the point of taxes is to get services. You know what services are? Public transit, good infrastructure, things that we're not getting, things that don't actually exist. So where the hell does the money go? That's what I would like to see. You want to take the money, the healthcare I mentioned. I know
you want to see it.
I know people
you
are
want to see it in action.
I know people are opposed to public healthcare. Could the country pull it off? No, I don't. In theory, I like the idea of it. I would pay higher taxes if everyone had access to healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the country could actually pull it off because I have zero trust in the government. I don't like, this is a wholly different discussion now. Public, private healthcare just as bad. There's no competition. The competition will take care of it. And it's not affordable. It's not accessible. It's a problem. Anyway, what I was saying was with taxes, if there was more taken out and there was a service attached to it, I'd be okay with that to an extent. But, when it comes to the government, who's the IRS person? Who's going to lose their job? No, but there's not a store manager. So I don't feel as bad when it comes to that. So even I am not above it. I have my own set of rules, but my rules take others into account. I try to take others into account.
Right.
And when I'm railing against other people and my hatred for them, it's because I think that there is a set of rules, and if we all just live by these rules, everyone could at least get through their day and not have to deal with all the annoying crap that is around us, or we have to deal with whatever exists naturally, and we all deal with it together. But the moment someone else is there and they're blasting music, or they're blocking a sidewalk, or they're making things harder for other people, it's like you're not aware of your existence or your impact or effect on other people, and I cannot stand you. And you're making things worse for other people. And the fact you have zero awareness of this or care, maybe you are aware and you don't care, you should be put to sleep.
Well, you know what just came to mind was those people who would like bum rush into the Walmart on the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday and
Gross.
run over each other, or like fighting in the stores for like some stupid deal on a TV. For me, I mean, maybe that's the same sort of mindset where it's like, I'm providing for my family. I'm getting this. Like, I'm doing the work. I'm going to be the one who gets it.
I think it's a desperate grasp for false happiness.
I agree.
Providing for my family, I'm going to get the PlayStation.
This comes back to me a lot. This idea comes to me a lot that like our brains, we're too smart for our own good. Our brains evolved through time to be a certain way, and we've constructed our lives to be so comfortable that we're not utilizing the brain that we evolved it to be. And so then we have to supplement that with lots of other stuff. With, these soft, like I said, these soft ways of providing.
When you're saying there's inherent behaviors that aren't being exercised because our lives are too cushy. So therefore, we're inventing ways to enact.
Thank you for wording that in a way that,
Is that what you
sounds like it should be written down instead of the way that I said it.
I mean, that could be the case. But as people as animals that are able to think and discern and differentiate, and you could maybe notice that you're actually doing this and then say, you know what? Okay, there's not a need for this. Even if there's an impulse for this, I don't actually have to do this.
I had that. Once I realized that stuff was going around, I was like, I wonder where my gas is. And I thought, where do I have to be? I'm not driving anywhere.
Well,
it's fine.
At some point,
I'll wait until it blows over.
At some point, it does become a chain reaction because you see everyone else doing things they're not supposed to do. And then you say, oh, crap, we really are going to run out of gas. And then you go get in the mix yourself.
To me, though, I always have had the instinct. Like, I remember being at Piedmont Park and it was all during, like the zombie heyday, right? Like all the zombie stuff was happening at the time. And I thought about like, if some shit was going down, like some zombie apocalypse or something, and everyone was running the opposite, like was running in one direction, I would go toward the opposite direction. Just because I felt like if everyone's running that way, then I'm going to be the one who's going to like do something different. Do you know what I mean? That's my instinct. And so when someone says like, "Oh, you got to hurry and get this," like, no, maybe I'll miss out. Maybe I'll be the patient one and I'll win. I'll be the tortoise or something.
I mean, not following.
But that is my first. That's my first instinct.
I can
Just
understand.
to be like contrarian or something.
Yeah, and I can understand that instinct, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it can grow into a bad thing. I'm just going to do the opposite of what everyone's doing.
Oh, I'm not saying like I apply that across the board, but there are definitely times where I'm like, no.
You know, when I was looking into this show, I saw a study that analyzed. I think they asked some high schoolers to answer the question. It's not a question, but to respond to the statement, "I am an important person." And between 1950 and the mid to late 80s, only 12% agreed that they were an important person.
Oh.
By 1989, 80%. 80% of high schoolers, "I'm an important person." Where did that come?
That's a tough question.
Where did that come from? Where did it come from? What changed? I know, and this is 89, so a lot of people want to look at us, our generation, but people our age who are approaching 40 and growing up, you are special, you are different, you get an award. I do think that in some way that also happened, and I don't mean to rail against it in the way a lot of people do, how it ruined society. But when I think about it a little bit more in the way it actually plays out, I don't care if someone thinks they're special in their own right. And if they go around trying to prove it, they're just an annoying person to me, and I'll try to ignore them. But there are ways that I'm starting to realize that actually impacts other people's lives. And then the moment you have everyone doing it, it creates this competition where there's not a need for competition. And if there's something that I cannot stand in this world, it's competition. I hate competition. Sports is a different thing. That's competition for the sake of competition.
Yeah, it's because I was going to say then if you hate competition, then you would enjoy that everyone gets a trophy.
That's a different thing. I don't think maybe nobody gets trophies. And you just did this. There was no need for a trophy. When I was a kid, I played soccer and I got trophies, and our team sucked. We had teams where we would win one game all season, and I will tell you, I got the trophy and I thought, why? They sat on a shelf, and I used to look at these and I said, I don't know what these mean. They don't mean anything to me because no work was put in to actually earn the trophy. If a trophy exists, it's only to say, hey, you went above and beyond. You put in the work. You did better than everyone else who put in the work. So here's a way to reckon. I think it's ridiculous to have the trophy for that too. And the fact that people need that to find some kind of solace in their existence is somewhat ridiculous to me also. But maybe nobody should get the trophy. I don't know. We just played soccer. We did it, played some games. It was a kids' league on a field that most of the country doesn't know about. A
team would win, but not necessarily getting a trophy for something.
Well, even if this is the thing, nobody cared. Even if you were the champions of Cambria, whatever. No, I'm
not saying eventually against other people, but I mean between one team and another, I think it is important to have a winner or a quote loser.
You think it's important?
Yeah, because then what's the point of playing?
Well, when you're talking about sports, that's a totally different thing.
Okay.
It's competition for the sake of competition.
Right.
When I said if there's one thing I can't stand, it's competition.
Competition against someone else.
Competition for the sake of competition. But this false competition, this not everything needs to be a rat race where you're out. This is why I get so worked up and anxious about going into restaurants, because it all feels like a competition. And I don't like it feeling that way to begin with. It's like, I got to get here before this person, because if I don't, then... And that's why I get so anxious when it comes to the competition. I'll sprint in front of people to get to a restaurant if they're walking in that direction. Because I feel like it's been drilled into my head. And, if everything... is a competition, then you have to find ways to set yourself apart, and you have to think that you are better than other people so that you can win. The goal at this point becomes winning. And I think that within getting the gas, getting the toilet paper, I do think there's the control thing that I said earlier.
Winning has been confused with survival.
Well, I do think that people find comfort in some control where they can get it. And these aren't clear-cut black and white things, but I do think that is the trophy in essence also. I won. I got this. And
look at my trophy. Look at all of the toilet paper I have. Oh, you're worried about gas? Not me. The trophy is this invisible confidence that I have of not needing gas because I have grocery bags full of gas in my garage.
It's not needed.
Yeah.
It's manufactured.
But it does, it's manufactured, but it does bring a sense of pride or a sense of relief to someone.
Well, everyone, yes, but everyone just wants to win. That is the most important thing. No matter what the arguments that are made that people don't have discussions anymore, talk about things. Fine, whatever. It has gotten worse. I tried to not get too involved because things are going to be what they're going to be. But everyone just wants to win. And that has become the sole purpose of existence. Winning, showing that you won, showing that you're better, showing that you were on the side that was right.
No matter the validity of the winning. It's like, it depends on however any individual might feel what winning might be. I won. I won because I have the toilet paper. I won because I have a bunch of gas.
Yeah. That's another reason I feel as though entitlement has come into play.
So what do we do? Like, how do you correct that?
You can't. It's done. It's a runaway train. This is what it is.
The fall of Rome? Are we in the fall of Rome?
I don't know the way it plays out. I can't say the way it plays out. I'll tell you one thing. People should stop having kids. If you don't... I mean, competition does exist in certain realms, and it's going to get more fierce when it comes to resources. And I guess maybe that's why gas is a limited resource. And when one of the main delivery pipelines is shut down, you think, to me, it's not a resource that's life or death, at least not right away. There is a huge dependence on it. And if it went on for too long, then it would cause real problems that could lead to death, and mainly food distribution. But
yeah, realizing your dependence on something that you maybe take for granted is interesting and important.
But food is something that there'll be competition for. Water, if we start running out of these things, and as the population continues to grow, these are going to be things, and we know how people are going to act.
This is an example of how people will act.
And I do wonder.
But there's also, like you said, there is a lot of distrust, I think, from both sides of the political aisle in the government. And I wonder, I mean, I don't think that blind faith in the government is the way to go, but I do believe that it was probably easier to control everyone when you have a more sort of patriotic sort of attitude toward the government, which can be a negative, but it could also be a positive in saying you guys do your patriotic chore and letting the people that need things go first.
Well, it's funny
because we're all Americans, you know what I mean? But right now we're so all divided.
Well, when you have an enemy, you bring this up, when people would sacrifice resources. During World War II, there were many things you couldn't get. But everyone in the United States had a common enemy. So therefore there was a collective good, and there was still a winning attached to it. So we do these things, but in the end, we win together, not individually, but we win together if we give the military the resources it needs to beat the Nazis.
I'm not going to hoard the metal the scrap metal. I'm going to donate it because you're right, because we have a common goal.
And right now it does feel as though the enemy is within, meaning most people feel as though there's an enemy. No matter what side you're on, you think the other side is an enemy.
The enemy could be your neighbor. The enemy could be on a small scale or it could be on a big scale as the government.
Well, at some point, it does become your neighbor's the enemy. And if society collapsed, I don't know where those lines are drawn, the division. God forbid, I hope this does not ever happen. It's going to just to be immediate. It's not going to last.
It probably is not going to happen. Stuff like that is the same thing as like religious fanatics talking about the end of days. It's like always going to happen within their lifetime. However, at some point, not the religious part, but like societies do fall. So at some point, this society that we're in will fall.
I'm not around for it. I don't want to be around for it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's going to happen pretty quickly. It's going to happen quickly.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to see it. I don't want to be
People
around
with the toilet paper and the gas are going to be the kings and queens.
I guess they will be. And I know that at some point it does actually just become survival. And you have to survive. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're surviving. What are you surviving for? If the world's that bad, I don't know what you're actually surviving for. I think about that quite often. If everything becomes a struggle and just a fight to stay.
Biology.
What's that?
Biology, just to to survive. That's like it's a basic instinct is to survive. Not some philosophical reason to survive, but just to survive.
It's obviously built in. Like it's a very powerful drive to survive. I understand that that's there. And just letting yourself die if society collapses is probably a harder thing.
That's like trying to hold your breath to kill yourself. You couldn't do it.
Well, at some point,
society's fucked. I'm just gonna let myself die.
Well, at some point, your body says, you're not doing this. I'm going to make you pass out and take over.
Right. Well, not so fast. I'm gonna go make you scrounge for food because you can't stop yourself. I have to pee really bad.
All right, you have to pee. Well, we can wrap this up if you want. I think
All right.
I made my point. I know that it came off as negative again.
No, I don't think so. Not at all. You were just exploring that point of view. That's totally fine and valid. I was going to say fad, which is a combination of fine and valid.
Okay. I'll take that. We can add it to the dictionary. It can be the new word of the year. We didn't really, I guess it was mostly about entitlement, not selfishness. Which selfishness can be another thing because I'm certainly all
right, so maybe it should be about, survival?
What's the definition of selfish? I can be self-centered, I know.
Yeah.
Am I selfish, though?
Selfish is, I think, only thinking of yourself.
Concerned excessively or exclusively with oneself. So yes, I guess with that definition, I surely...
Selfish survivalness.
Well, I've certainly been selfish. My selfishness... my selfishness is strange. Quite often, it comes out of a desire to not make other people feel a certain way. Like, I don't want to do that, but it's giving myself way too much importance. And I think that I'm, which
is an over concern with yourself.
Yes, it's a lending an importance to myself, and I have this much impact, and I gotta watch what I do.
I don't think it should be selfishness. I think it should be like.
Well, what I was talking about was definitely entitlement, where I deserve this.
But I disagreed that it wasn't really entitlement, and that it was like a survival.
I don't think it is.
It was a misplaced survival instinct.
I think it's giving too much credit.
How about?
I'm not. Look, you can have
instinct or selfish? Question mark.
You're talking about the title of the show at this point.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying that at the beginning I threw selfishness into it, but we never really talked about selfishness, which would have been an interesting conversation in its own right because, there's the second definition for selfish here, arising from concern with one's own welfare or advantage in disregard of others. So that's a selfish act.
Yes.
A lot of these things. Okay, so it tied in.
All right. So we'll include that definition just to make sure that people know.
I feel as though it's an important thing. Yes, looking out for yourself isn't a terrible thing. It doesn't have to be at the expense of others quite often.
Correct.
Both can happen.
Yeah.
And the moment you go extreme with certain things, why? You've taken care of yourself, now let others take care of themselves. And if you really want to be nice, if it's not a life or death situation like this gasoline, maybe let others take care of themselves.
Yes. Let people that have a huge commute or something and definitely need the gas to make sure that they get theirs before you do, because you actually are only driving between here and the Target. Relax.
You could walk to that Target. It may take an hour, but
you could get run over on your way, but because there's no sidewalks.
Your taxes, hard at work, no sidewalks.
No sidewalks, no crosswalks.
I mean, I get it. People are going to use them. They're probably not worth putting in, which is a shame.
Right.
Where's the money go? To bloat. There's a lot of people being paid. Like, there are jobs that need to be done. It's a job of 2 people, not 10. Like, there's no specific job that I'm referencing, but I know what you mean. Idea. 2 people can do that. Why are you paying 10? Well, they got here. They had the jobs. They've been around for a while.
You know what company doesn't have a lot of bloat is hoffandpepper.com. Go to hoffandpepper.com. You can get some really great hot sauce. Get 15% off with code OneTopic15. It's locally made in Chattanooga. It's really great. They have a lot of options. They also have some new FDA approved sizes that you can get, so you can take them on an airplane. And that's pretty cool. So do that. Go check them out. hoffandpepper.com, OneTopic15. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please like and subscribe, rate and review, and also share with your friends. Thanks. Bye.